Are Gyrocopters any good? This is another unit that isn't really designed to win you the entire battle, but rather to be more efficient and or effective at one part of it, and then just pitch in wherever it can until it is no more or the battle is won. We'll go over how to squeeze all the juice out of this orange. Please like, subscribe, comment, and consider donating Oath Gold to make Ko-Fi treasury. I need the support, and the gold won't hurt either. Costing 700 to recruit for 175 upkeep, you get 4 Copters on Ultra, with 3,772 health spread between them, for 943 per entity. Armor is a very solid 100, spell resistance is the usual 35, leadership is a decent 64, speed is a speedy 105, charge speed is listed as 90, melee attack is 30 default, with a very fast attack interval of 3.2, which is like Scarbrand level, so they dish out the damage quickly. They have large splash attacks, but can only damage a maximum of 3 targets, so this is more disruptive than destructive. Melee defense is a pathetic 6. Weapon strength is a meager 66, split between 50 base and 16 armor piercing. Charge bonus is an okay-ish 25, and mass is 700. So we see right away that this unit is capable of pitching in with melee to a certain point, but any armor piercing is going to see them shredded. Ammunition is 22 default, with a relatively short range of 75. Missile damage is listed as 68, with only 12 base and 4 armor piercing on direct impact, but 37 explosion base damage and 8 explosion AP damage with a detonation radius of 5 meters, substantially larger than Outriders with grenade launchers, for instance. Reload time is 9, total accuracy is listed as a very strong 30, calibration distance is 80, and thus in excess of the normal range, but hey, range is something that can get lengthened a little bit in this roster, and a calibration area of 13, so on-target quote-unquote shots still have a significant amount of drift and randomness to them by their very nature. Obviously this weapon is specialized at savaging regular infantry. The more packed, the better. Aside from these goodies and the obvious ability to fly, there is the Gyrocopter Bomb, a little bonus similar to what Pterodon Riders will give you. You cannot really rely on it, and I'll just show this on the screen briefly so that you see the stats. Obviously the problem is that no matter how juicy the stats may be in some areas, it's still only 4 entities, and even though it is a massive dose of speed for a slow roster, you're limited in how you can use these to, let's say, brawl against Bretonnian cavalry. I mean, they'll be able to break up charges, sure, but do you really want them breaking up charges by body blocking? Well, it depends. In the Lord Redline skills, Tradition and Innovation grants a maximum of plus 20% ammunition and plus 10% range. Yeah, this is why the calibration distance is longer than the base range, clearly. It's also funny the bolt throwers are in this category. I totally missed that in my video because my subconscious was asking, why? Moving on. Rank 7 crews benefit from Dawi firepower, granting plus 12% missile strength, 10% reload time reduction, and 15% missile resistance, which is fantastic, and also tells us that the intended role for the Gyrocopter is that of a ranged skirmisher. If you've used up all the ammo, hopefully you've done a lot of good with it, but making the steam count for more makes the total combat value rise. In the tech tree, assembly line slashes recruitment cost by 10% and recruitment time by 1 turn. Operations training gives plus 2 recruit rank bonus, heavy armor plating adds plus 10 to armor, improved Gyrocopter engines adds another plus 20% to ammunition and plus 10% speed. Finally, pressure regulating valves adds another plus 10% range to your Gyrocopters. Clearly, even though this is a later game unit, you can squeeze out quite a bit, and if nothing else, those ammunition increases are absolutely fantastic for maximizing clout in a long, drawn-out battle. After all, flying skirmishers have a much better chance of getting their shots off without being bogged down than quarrelers or thunderers. So how do you use Gyrocopters? Well, just as I said, ranged skirmishers first, melee dead last. Something to be done out of necessity, desperation, or more likely, both. That said, since it's only 4 entities, you can use them as honorary heroes and try to bog down a melee line long enough for your missile infantry to fire in. Even thunderers, dangerous to the copters themselves, are accurate enough that you might be able to get away with it, and if you're desperate, you disregard the risk and do it anyway. By the way, this also functions in reverse. The Gyrocopters do such little damage to armor that they do a lot less damage to your own dwarf warriors relative to most of your opponents. Beyond that, it's a matter of opportunism, including backstabbing enemy artillery and raking missile lines. You can't always get away with that. It depends greatly on the opponent's means, but hey, it's an option you wouldn't have otherwise. The weaknesses are self-evident. This unit is armored, but has no regular means of armor piercing more than a pittance. Any seriously armored foe, Black Orcs, Chaos Warriors, will laugh off a fair number of strikes, even in melee. It's a built-in limitation you cannot overcome. On the other hand, as dwarfs, you should be able to dish out plenty of armor piercing if you look for it, Thunderers if nothing else. Thunderers are inefficient at obliterating blobs. It's not quite the effect of using a bunch of flamethrowers, but Gyrocopters can do their damage all across the battlefield, so long as they can survive getting into relatively short range. This is why I say they are opportunists, aerial light cav in effect. They are force multipliers that help you win a battle more efficiently, just don't rely on them to do jobs they're not built for. Keep that in mind, and I'm confident they'll earn their keep, or upkeep, I should say, over and over again. Take care, and have fun showing any infantry with 30 armor or less they came to the wrong mountain.